Von starts giving Quando the beats. Whatever. By the way, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Some of these dudes have guns.
The internet went wild when shocking new footage of King Von's last moments dropped online. Everyone already knew about that explosive run-in he had with Quando Rondo before the shots tore through the night. But this new video, it completely flips the story on its head. The details are straight up bone-chilling. Let's run it back to where everything changed. On November 5th, 2020, a 26-year-old Chicago drill rapper named Davin Daquan Bennett, the streets knew him as King.
DJ Academics, who went through the footage frame by frame, broke down what happened after that.
Walking, he's in front. There's individuals back here who have a weapon in their hand. There's guns. Von starts giving Quando the beat.
Von was living large at the peak of his rise. His debut album, Welcome to O Block, had just dropped a week earlier, landing at number 5 on the Billboard 200. The whole tape was basically a street diary, a gritty story of the South Side block that raised him, shaped him, and nearly took him out more times than anyone could count. That night in Atlanta, Von was on a high, doing what any rapper with momentum would do, pushing his music, celebrating his come-up, and vibing in the city that had basically become his second home. But what started as a normal night of flexing and fun would twist into straight-up tragedy outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge.
There were off-duty cops in the area, and they started shooting.
Right.
You ended up getting shot twice?
Right.
Well, what parts of the body?
I get shot in my right hip bone, and I get shot on my ass.
A hot downtown hangout known for late-night energy and celebrity drop-ins. Years later, this resurfaced footage of that fatal moment has gone viral again, reigniting old debates about self-defense, street rules, and that thin, dangerous line between survival and destruction. To really understand why this video hits so hard, you gotta know the history behind it. See, Von and his OTF crew already had long-standing tension with Quando Rondo's camp. Both artists were deep in the drill and trap scenes, where affiliations and rivalries turn into public drama quick. Von was tight with the Black Disciples from O Block, while Quando had his roots in Savannah's street politics. Before November 2020, there were constant subliminal jabs flying back and forth online, but no one had actually pulled up in person yet. Von had just wrapped up a stretch of house arrest from a separate case back in Chicago, charges that would later get dropped after his passing. He was back outside, heavy in Atlanta, rolling with a deep entourage that included OTF members and his manager. Meanwhile, Quando, who was 22 at the time, was also in the city, reportedly dozing off in a parked SUV outside the lounge after a performance nearby. Then everything exploded in a matter of minutes. Between 2:15 and 3:30 a.m. on November 6, 2020, chaos broke loose in that parking lot on North Highland Avenue. According to leaked surveillance footage that flooded the internet days later and got broken down by just about everyone, Von's crew, around 10 to 15 deep, pulled up after club hopping all night. They stepped inside for a quick minute but didn't stay long because Von spotted Quando's black SUV parked nearby. What happened next turned into one of hip-hop's most dissected moments. People close to Quando claimed Von's people ran up on them being wild, but Von's side said it was just on-site payback for some online disrespect. The surveillance video shows Von, unarmed and wearing a standout jacket, charging straight at Quando by the truck. Von landed the first hits, throwing solid punches to Quando's head and body while his team jumped in, turning it into a chaotic brawl. DJ Academics even analyzed the footage frame by frame, breaking down exactly how fast things got out of hand. As the fight spilled into the street, Timothy Lil Tim Leaks jumped out the car, and that's when everything flipped. According to ballistics from the GBI, Lil Tim fired multiple rounds, reportedly between 4 to 6 shots from his weapon, sending the scene into instant panic. Later on, Lil Tim himself would speak about that night in his own words, but by then the damage was already done. The autopsy reports were heartbreaking, no lie. Von was hit 6 times, 3 shots to his chest and torso proved fatal, tearing through vital organs and arteries. 1 struck his right arm, 1 hit his neck, and another grazed the back of his head. It was a tragic end to a rapper who was just starting to take over the game. To really feel the weight of what was lost that November night, you gotta know who King Von was before the world even knew the name Davon Daquan Bennett. What made him the artist, the storyteller, and the street soldier whose life ended too soon on that Atlanta pavement. This is the rise and the heartbreak of a voice straight from the trenches. Davon was born on August 9th, 1994, in Chicago's South Side, right inside the legendary Robert Taylor Homes, a towering maze of project buildings that later got torn down and rebuilt as Parkway Gardens. That's the spot the whole world now calls O'Block. From the jump, his childhood was wrapped in pain, loss, and survival. When Von was just 11, tragedy struck. His pops, Walter Bennett, lost his life in a shooting. That left his mom, Tasha, holding everything down on her own, grinding as a hairdresser just to keep her kids fed and sheltered. Von would later say that the streets became his second parent, and it showed. By 12, he was already outside, trying to make it however he could. Court papers that later surfaced revealed just how wild things got early. At only 13, he caught his first case for holding a piece. By 14, Cook County Juvenile was basically his second home, in and out for robberies, gun charges, and brawls. The block he came up on, 6451 South King Drive, had a clear view of the courtyard where O.D. Perry was killed in 2011, an event that shook everything. After O.D.'s death, the neighborhood came together in remembrance, calling the area O-Block, and that name stuck forever. Even police and federal reports started using it officially. That's how deep it ran. Around 2010 or 2011, when Von was just 16, he officially joined the Black Disciples, repping O-Block heavy. The older guys started calling him grandson because they said he looked like a young David Barksdale, the legendary founder of the BDS himself. That nickname became part of his identity, a title of respect in the streets. Between 2011 and 2014, Von was constantly locked up, juvie, county, back out, then right back in again. He once told an interviewer he basically grew up behind them walls. It was during a 3-year stretch, serving time for being a felon caught with a weapon at just 16, that he really started taking rap seriously. Von later talked about how he beat his most serious charge, a first-degree murder case that could have ended everything. When he came home in 2017, free at last, he was 23 years old, covered in tattoos, and carrying a name that rang across the whole South Side. Before Von ever dropped a track, the streets already knew who he was. But when his music started popping, it all clicked into place. His day one homie Lil Durk saw the potential immediately and brought him into the fold under Only the Family, OTF. Von once said that Durk showed him the ropes and gave him a lane to tell his truth through the mic. Then came the explosion, October 2018. Von dropped Crazy Story, and everything changed overnight. Within a week, the video had 5 million views. Within a month, it was certified platinum. That raw storytelling, that vivid street realism, it hit different. Von wasn't just rapping, he was painting real-life scenes, making listeners feel like they were standing right next to him in those moments. From the projects to platinum, from pain to power, King Von's rise was fast, real, and unstoppable. King Von's empire was worth a fortune. Reports say his assets totaled around $8 million, but most of it's been frozen under asset forfeiture. His Buckhead mansion, his Bentleys, even OTF's main accounts holding $4.7 million, all locked up tight. Still, Von's legacy hasn't slowed down one bit. His posthumous releases just keep dropping and dominating the charts. In 2022, What It Means to Be King debuted at number 2, proving the demand for his music was still sky high. Then Grandson landed at number 14 in 2023, showing that the streets were still listening. And by June 2025, the album documentary hybrid Von the Final Chapter made history, debuting at number 1. That project caused major controversy. It used cleaned up snippets from leaked body cam footage as transitions between tracks. Fans were torn, some calling it powerful, others saying it went too far. But one thing's for sure, it kept Von's name ringing loud across the culture. Then came another emotional hit. On November 29, 2024, the massive mural of King Von in Parkway Gardens was taken down due to gang-related safety concerns. It felt like the end of an era, a real-life monument gone, but online, his legend just kept growing bigger and louder every single day. In only 26 years, King Von accomplished what most artists can't in a lifetime. He turned one of America's most feared blocks into pure art, flipping his experiences into stories that felt real, raw, and cinematic. He made confessions sound like anthems, and the moment his legend reached its peak, tragedy struck. Now, with these newly enhanced clips, the body cam, the surveillance angles, the upgraded footage, people are being forced to watch it all over again. It doesn't change what happened that night, but it makes you feel it all over again. A young man full of hunger and heart, rushing into a fight he thought he could handle, only to meet the kind of fate that never plays fair, no matter how big your name is. At the end of the day, the streets don't care about Billboard numbers or platinum plaques. They don't separate the rapper from the life he rapped about. King Von always said he was both, an artist and a product of where he came from. And in the end, that truth cost him everything. Thank you for watching. If you like this breakdown, hit one of the boxes on your screen and keep watching more stories just like this.